Hello and welcome to sim.bc, where hopefully I remember to put the microphone on, because I sat here for a good 20 minutes, right? A good 20 minutes, and I sat here and was like, this is amazing, this is gonna be all great. This was like one of the best videos I've ever made, I think, and I can say whatever I want because I'm not gonna publish a silent video, even though if I did, you wouldn't be able to recognize if it was good or bad. Am I right, people? Am I right? Anyway, it was the most infuriating thing ever to just sit there and be like, this is actually turning out rather well, I'm pretty happy about it. And then just, oh yeah, I forgot to put the microphone on. And I was talking in that video about how good the quality has been now that I moved to the new apartment. Anyway, mates, going to just give a quick wrap up again then about this. And I was saying that, oh, we're always around this hour, but we're not anymore. Now it's about 8 minutes past 5, so 17:08 in the evening. And it actually became evening. It was afternoon when I started, right? It was afternoon the first time I did this, but now it's the evening. Anyway, mates, that doesn't apply to you. You're just gonna sit there and be like, why is he complaining? I just started this video, and I do not care about if he has been sitting there for 1 hour, 2 hours, or 14 days. It's the same to me. It's gonna be the same 10 to 20 minute video. So let's just get on with the news. Am I right, people? Am I right? That's what you wanna do. So yeah, I'm just gonna give a quick introduction to this. This is the news recap, right? It's the Saturday night. Oh, Saturday night. Wow, that's trademarked. Am I right, people? No, but the Saturday news recap, where we are going over all of the interesting news over the last week. That has happened, both to me and internationally. So, without any further ado, mates, let's move into the first one. And the first news is going to be a bit of a news piece that I've been talking non-stop about with, like, everybody I've came across. So, if this is rambly, mates, I'm sorry. I'm just having so many perspectives, so many different perspectives. I've gained many different perspectives on this topic. Yet I have one that I'm really pushing, right? A subjective view. And, well, it can tend to be quite rambly because I don't want to step on anybody's toes, because I'm kind of going to insult an entire nation. And that's never good, right? That's never good. Actually, too, when I come to think about it. And what is the news speed? You might be sitting there and thinking about yourself, like, oh, why is he just teasing it? Just give me it. I want to know. And the first one is a bit of an international one. It's a bit regarding a nation. And I know I've been talking down on this nation, slagging it off, right? Especially with them appointing a minister of loneliness, yet voting themselves out of a economic union of the EU. I'm of course talking about Brexit, am I right, people? And when I'm talking about Brexit, I'm talking about the U.K., the United Kingdoms, who voted themselves out, even though it was just England who voted themselves out, and the rest of the UK is like, we don't want to. Anyway, mates, and what am I talking about? I am talking about that the UK and the US have chosen not to take part of the new Pisa, what should we say, the new Pisa test. And for those of you who do not know, and please use source critique here, apply source criticism. It's going to be a theme over this piece of news, right? Please apply source criticism to this, but I'm going to explain it as far as I know. The Pisa test is an international kind of benchmark, an international survey of how good the students in different countries are on an international level. Now, this is internationally, not nationally, so it's not going to be any biased here. Of course, there's going to be biased here. I know that before you say anything, but it's going to be less biased than if the country did it themselves and then published it to the other countries and saying like, look how good we are in everything, and everybody's just like, can we really trust that, though? You made a survey about the people in your country based on your merits, based on what you thought was important. How do we know that's the same thing as we deem to be important? So that is kind of why the PISA exists, the PISA test, to get a good understanding and a good view of why or how we're operating in different countries, how the educational level is. But then this year, and yet again, I am not quite sure, but I think it is this year, maybe that it was last year, but I think that they introduced this year the idea that we're going to apply source critique, right? Source criticism, see how students apply that, the critical thinking, logical behavior, not just math, science, and spelling and reading as it has been before, but now we're also going to use this fake news, echo chambers, right? What is actually real? Can you as a student actually determine what is real and what is not? And I thought this was quite funny. Not that they introduced this. That they introduced this part, I think is brilliant. I think it's really good. That you're just not testing what you would say the IQ, but that you're testing how street smart are you, right? Are you good enough, a good enough student to understand what's actually happening outside of your books, right? Outside in the real world. Or are you just like, I know everything, I'm so smart, and just look in your book like, I know everything in the book. And then people are going to ask you like, what is this? And they're like, a space station? A rocket? And you're like, no, it's a water bottle, but it's not in your book now, is it? And they're like, no. They're like, yeah, so you don't know it. So I think it's good that they're not just testing the academic stuff, right? That they're also trying to test reasoning. How do you reason as a student? And this is kind of going to be a reflection, probably, right? I haven't read this, but I can argue and I can think that this is going to be some sort of reflection of how is the overall source criticism applied in the country, because the youth is going to reflect the future of the country. So if it's not in this point in time, it will be reflective of how it's going to look in the future. And let's just say that a country in which they were voting for a president that they didn't enjoy, that split the entire nation based on, well, outrageous statements and fake news and, you know, to left and to right, I can understand why they don't want to have this part in their test, that they don't want to take part of this test. Why? Well, because I don't think it would benefit them. And I'm talking about the US. But we're going to focus on the UK a bit, because after Brexit, like, I've heard it, I've seen it, you've probably seen it, it was everywhere after Brexit, right? The Google search engine spiked on the same day as they made the decision that, well, Brexit has gone through. We've been voting for Brexit. Now, this is going to happen. Then it spiked on the Google search engine yet again, the idea of the terminology, rather, or the phrasing of what does Brexit mean? What is Brexit? And I can just imagine that there were so many people in the UK sitting around. This can be people outside of the UK as well, but I think that it was a study, or rather a showcase made by Google about people in the UK. So it was framed to the UK locally, right? So it was local searches in the UK. That's how I would like to remember it. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, even if it wasn't, just imagine so many people sitting there potentially, right, being able to vote for or against it, that either haven't done it because they didn't know what it meant, or has gone and voted for something they don't know what it means, or against something that they didn't know what it meant. Will it be beneficial for the UK to include a part of an internationally displayed benchmark test so that all of the other countries can see it, right? I'm going to be able, as a Swede, to go in and view what is the general knowledge level, or what's the general level of the education and logical reasoning and application of source criticism in the UK. Do you think, right, that a country that is voted for something so controversial, where there seemed to be so little information about if this was right or wrong, because people generally don't know what it's about at all, do you think that they're going to benefit from having this included in the test? I don't think that. Maybe it will, but maybe it won't. But I will just introduce this as well. Even if it wouldn't, benefit you, let's say, as a country, wouldn't it be better, and this is my point of view, this is going to be entirely subjective, right? And this is not applied to this specific instance right now. You can probably apply my reasoning here to lots of other things as well. So it's not just in this specific scenario. But I think, isn't it better to showcase how bad you are, instead of saying, I will not take part because I think I will do badly? Now, they didn't phrase it quite like that, but that's the interpretation that I have when I'm watching it, when I'm reading the articles, right? When I'm watching some debates about it, people are saying, we are not going to take part in this. In my view, that's just saying that we think we're really bad at this. let's say, worst case scenario, you take part in it, you're the worst country in the world when it comes to source criticism, how to apply it. Now, isn't that a good thing though? Because that's like a wake-up call. Now you know what you need to focus on with your students in the future in order to make the entire country better, instead of you saying like, this is a potential problem. I'm gonna close my eyes and look away. I don't want to be part of this. I don't want to take part in this. Isn't it better to just say, let's tackle the problem and solve it instead of running away from it? Anyway, I've been talking about this for lots of people. Lots of people have many very different opinions about this, to say the least. So please comment in the comment section below what you think about it, and let's create the discussion and learn together. But that was the first piece of news. I thought it was so funny yet again. It's been totally dominating my mind over the last week. But the other little smaller, what you say, this smaller news piece here that is more about moi, right? Is this? I'm in the new apartment, and I know, right? Before you get all outrageous and all up in arms, I know that most people who have watched my channel, like watched the recent videos over the week, will already know this. But for you who are just tuning in, I'm in my new apartment now, and it's actually my old apartment, but I didn't have a YouTube channel actively, at least, when I was here. I had it firstly when I came to France. So for the channel, right, this is a new apartment, and I have a better lighting solution, I have a better microphone, it's a bit more quality, right? It's going to be so much better when I'm making all them scripted videos, and I'm having one coming up in February. It's gonna be all good, mate. It's gonna be all amazing. But what kind of functionalities comes with this kind of apartment? Well, I have tap water. That's good. I have a floor. I know that it works. I've tried it, mates. I've tried it. I have electricity. And, what more kinds of functionality do I have in this? Oh, yeah, that's right. I have a door. That has a workable lock that's easy to lock and, unlock. And that's amazing, because it wasn't like that when I was in France. I had to have a key, and it was the same at my dad's place. I had to have a key. I couldn't just switch around my lock and switch it back. I needed to have a key and switch that one. So I always needed to have my key on me, right? Even when I was inside my own apartment. So this is really nice, all the different functionalities. I know, high tech, am I right? Really high tech. Anyway, mates, that was everything for me today. Have a nice one, and I'll see you tomorrow with a bit of a question, right? A bit more about questions, because I think that it's so nice that we're having a project yet again, just like the chapters from Taylor Brands. But now it's questions, and I really like it. Really like to indulge in it and discuss it in the deepest detail. Am I right, people? Anyway, have a nice one, mates, and I'll see you tomorrow.